Follows, which is a horror film that we were lucky enough to get into a preview screening of.
It Follows is a new kind of retro style horror from a guy called David Robert Mitchell, and it's about. What is it about, Harrison? It's kind of. I don't know. Usually you're good with these things. You're good with remembering things because it's a girl called Jay.
She naively has a sexual encounter with a guy.
With a stranger.
Yeah, with sort of a stranger. She knows a bit. And afterwards, he chloroforms her, and she wakes up.
And you find that she has now been infected with some bizarre
She's basically like a sexually transmitted demon.
Yeah. And there's this kind of shapeless entity chasing her that kind of changes.
It can look like anyone.
But we say chase, it kind of follows. Because it follows.
It paces.
There's an interesting premise as well with the sexual thing is the morality of whether you pass it on to another person.
There you go.
So that's kind of the main dogma.
The only way to get rid of the curse is to have sex with someone else and pass it on to them.
So it's good.
It's pretty creative. I was
I like the idea.
Impressed with it. Yeah. But the actual execution,
I like.
Yeah, I like, but I don't
grew
love.
On me afterwards.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
I think there's a lot of kind of originality, which I really like, not just to the narrative but to the visuals as well.
I really like how they did those 360 shots. Like, I think they overused them a bit, but there was one,
especially the one at the very beginning was very good.
That one's good. But I was thinking there's one where she goes to an office and she's like looking for someone, and the camera like pans. And you see one of them's walking. And
that was really
clever. Still there.
Kind of made the shot play out in real time.
Like these long sweeping takes that kind of follow them places.
I know what they're trying to
follow them.
And I think they work at establishing tension at times really well.
One of the best ones, actually, in my opinion, was the one when they had the fixed camera pointing towards her reaction on her wheelchair, because once she'd been chloroformed,
that's great.
So when they move
the cameras, and then once. At first, it just seems like a reaction shot, but then once the wheelchair goes under motion, you're getting carried with her, and you can't see where you're going. It's really good.
Some very, very inventive and kind of tension-building camera work, and not just that, but the overall look of the film. A lot of the time, as the kind of narrative kicks in, and it becomes this kind of they form this little gang. It feels kind of almost Goonies style, and I kind of like that.
I did like the gang element to it.
Well, like a more screwed up version.
It feels like an 80s horror film.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have much of a sense of what time it was in.
Exactly.
Generally speaking, it kind of felt like it was set in some kind of abstract time that wasn't a particular era.
I mean, I thought like it was almost like a sort of 80s in the present day. It had the primary colours and stuff, and it was nice in that sense. That sort of idea of like
I think the most obvious
youths.
sort of retro detail of it is the score, which kind of looks a lot like the one to the guest.
Very synth focused.
I think we're all unanimously agreed. We all really liked it.
Yeah,
like one of the strongest points of the film. Was it?
It was overused. It was a bit heavy-handed at times.
I did like that it wasn't. It was overused. Like it was quite an ever-present thing.
Yeah.
It did. Like, if you actually listen to it on its own, a lot of the tracks are very different. It's not like repeating the same thing over and over
I think me and Jack were in agreement, though. I think the first scene, it hits you over the head with it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. That was where it was my favourite.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was
way
too on the nose with Feel Scared straight away.
I think because it felt a lot like those Italian horror film scores.
Yeah, like the old Argento and stuff.
And I guess maybe just because I'm a fanboy and I like computing and stuff, but I thought that was really cool.
There's a really kind of great use of space as well, like because they have these long takes. There's a really great sequence. I don't want to reveal too much, but where the monster creature thing creeps up on her when they're at the beach. And you kind of see the figure out of the corner of your eye. And you gradually see it get closer and closer.
The music doesn't come in, and it works really well.
I think that's one of the most successful things about the film is that once it's introduced the premise, it stops announcing the appearance of the monster.
You have to really look for it,
and you become paranoid, always looking in frame.
That constant paranoia is what really kicks in.
And it uses that to a nice little conclusion as well at the end for a little bit of ambiguity.
I felt like with the kind of like. I know there were just a lot of parts of it that felt like it was trying to be a lot of different things at the same time. So it was trying to be very intellectual. Like I felt like a lot of the thing, like
one of the characters.
It felt like it was almost taking from like someone had read an essay about how the sexual stuff in Alien is what makes it really scary and decided to turn that into a whole different film.
Is that doesn't necessarily belong to Alien. That's
I know
it
belongs to horror films, but it felt like someone just read about that and just thought, you know what, I'll make it really on the nose. And then, like the weird stuff, like the setting, I didn't really know why they. Well, I quite liked parts of it, but it felt like. Did anyone get that it felt post-apocalyptic at times?
Well, that's Detroit.
Yeah.
No, but
Detroit. Detroit is like got such a low population.
There's multiple times where so they go through abandoned neighborhoods. There's massive abandoned buildings that they take place in some of the scenes. There's parts where they say, "Oh, we never go on the borders into town."
Yeah.
Like, and
that's
we never
more
see
kind of
the
city rather than.
That's
we never
Detroit.
actually see the city as well, but staying away.
One thing I did quite like about it was it felt like the actual allegory. They're called the followers. That's what they're called. Even though there's only one of them, they're called the followers. I felt like the allegory of the followers. It can be applied to a lot of different things. All about sex. They're all different things to do with sex, but there's it's open to quite a few things. Like if you actually look online, there's loads of different people having different theories, and they all are fairly.
Make sense.
They all make sense. Like there's the more obvious ones, like it's an STD. Then there's like you said about sexual shame.
I thought it was sexual shame. Yeah.
Then there's things about like society punishing people for sex, like the old slasher film thing. And then I think it also works like that's how I saw it as like a sort of just a basic primal fear of sex that isn't to do with society, but it's just.
So all the theories are to do with sex.
They're all to do with sex, but it feels like there's a lot of different.
I took it more as a fear of growing up.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Because
like,
sex in like
that's sort of where
that
that's sort of how I did. I read
and because they're scared of the city, they're scared of the thing that they have to evolve into.
That's quite interesting because of the lack of adult presence throughout the film.
Exactly.
Like, the most adult characters are very kind of like dubious, and you can't even tell they're kind of like young adults.
Well, the lead character is 19, and she hangs around with a load of people that are significantly younger than her.
Yeah.
But I think the followers are they're a really good idea, and they're
cool.
They're quite creepy.
Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me about them is because they're so slow, the film doesn't really evolve beyond there's someone following me and I need to run away. They never try and kind of face off with them or anything.
I'm not gonna lie, because I watch quite a lot of horror films, and for the most part they never faze me. But there was a couple of bits where I would say like,
when that giant guy walks in.
The giant guy.
The giant one.
I think there is definitely an element to the sexual shame, like the way that even though it appears kind of partially clothed, it's always kind of like tumbling and like it's always kind of dirty.
When you first see it, it's
stuff
naked.
falling off, and it pees itself at one point. It's kind of like dirty and body and like the whole. You can go into the whole like I forget what to say with it. Like the internal becoming external, and like it's probably like who is it, Christaveros, whatever that calls business. Yeah.
Theory.
Hell with
theory.
Yes.
We're so intellectual. Say near the end it starts to lose its steam a little bit
until
it ramps up near the very end, and then it kind of drops down again. I'd say.
I agree.
Yeah, without going into too much detail on the end, I thought that the pool.
If there was a graph, it goes like.
Yes, actually, I'd agree with that.
I thought it was a well set kind of conclusion. Like it went with the whole kind of vibe with the water kind of being thematic with her, that association throughout, and I thought it looked really, really nice.
We are good films.
Yeah.
We're really picking it apart.
It's not ultimately though, just to bring it back to kind of untheorized stuff.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have a horror film
that
is not only good but creepy, as well as being engaging, as well as being well made, and as well as having more behind it than a few scary masks or a bit of gore.
Being
Apart
stylish.
From one, I can't recall any jump scares. So should we do ratings now?
Yeah.
Do you want to start that way?
Chris?
Just literally the numbers.
Oh no, you can
make a
summary verdict.
Do
a verdict.
Yeah, so I'm not really a horror buff. I don't usually go to horror films, but I personally found it very enjoyable. So 8 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I thought it was... I felt like I was wheedling towards a 9, but at the same time, that's more for the hope it gives to the genre and the kind of how excited it makes me that people like this exist now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8 as well. Again, like with Chris,
Sorry.
He's doing his face again.
He's doing his face very contained.
Don't let them yell at me for giving it a 6. Don't. But yeah, no, I like with Chris. I'm not a horror film buff, but I thought it was a really engaging film. Even for people that maybe say, "Oh, I don't like horror films."
Yeah,
there's enough in it. It's
You're
psychological stuff. I am one of those people.
Yeah. Actually, you guys convinced me. I was going to say 6 out of 10. But
of course you were.
You guys have actually convinced me, and I'm going to put it up to 7.
Ooh!
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with 8 as well.
There you go.
But for like pretty much the opposite reasons to James, because I'm such a big fan of horror films, and because it's nice to see one that's good and has that old school feel, which I really, really like.
There you go.
Right, so the bottom line is it's 8 out of 10 and I'm cynical.
Somebody gave it to me, and I passed it to you. Wherever you are, it's somewhere walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.